in a way it is kind of like if Matrix and Fight Club had a baby and you like didn't raise it properly, like you just like you like let it fend for itself on the streets.
What the fuck?
Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Ellis Feo Grande on YouTube, and back once again for another movie conversation, of course, with one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Bill Smith. What's going on?
Hello, sir.
How's it going, man?
It's going great. It's going great. Another day, another exciting week of doing another wonderful movie.
Exactly. And of course, this week's movie was suggested. We have a guest on the show who's brought the movie in and suggested for this week. And it is none other than another one of my best friends in the world, co-host of the Whatever We Want podcast, Super Jazz.
Super Jazz.
As nature intended. What's going on, man? I am very happy to be the first guest on this show.
Yeah.
I kept saying they're gonna get me on the show. They just don't know it yet, and you speak it into existence because if you love movies enough and you have friends that love movies enough, then it only makes sense that they at least get you on one episode. I'm glad to be here, bro.
Yes, and so obviously this is, this guy hasn't seen, but in this case it's more these guys haven't seen, where we suggest movies back and forth to one another or pieces of pop culture in the case of last week's episode that, the other ones haven't witnessed, to kind of share, things that we like or enjoy amongst one another. And this week's movie was suggested, like I said, by Super Jazz. So what exactly are we watching?
Oh, okay. We are watching Wanted.
Wanted.
Yes.
Movie came out in 2008. It stars Angelina Jolie, James McAvoy, Morgan Freeman, Common, Blythe from Band of Brothers, if anybody is concerned with that. The worst character of Band of Brothers. He's a repairman in this film. But yeah, a frustrated office worker discovers that he is the son of a professional assassin and that he shares his father's superhuman killing ability. Jazz, back to you. How did you first see this film, and why did you suggest it to us today?
Oh, I laughed off the synopsis the way you said it because I just like, this movie's so over the fucking top, and I love it. But no, so I remember, and I told this story on an episode of Whatever We Want. I can't remember the title or how far down it is because we do that podcast. Me and Omari do that podcast weekly, and it's somewhere in the pantheon of how many numbers back by this point. But anyway, I saw this movie when it came out back in 2008 in the theater, which would put me at the ripe old age of 17. And I remember seeing it with my mom and my brother, because we're one to see a lot of movies, in the theater here and there sporadically, whenever we all can. And I don't remember what the movie was where I first saw the trailer, but I remember being it couldn't have been that far before 17, so I was either like at the end of 16 or just turned 17 or whatever. But anyway, I remember being in theater for whatever movie came before this one, and I happened to see the trailer of. And I remember first time I see the trailer, and I'm sitting there, and then the trailer for Wanted kicks off, and they don't tell you the title yet, like they don't do in most trailers. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I see a scene or whatever, and I'm just like, what is this movie? And I'm like, oh my God, okay, what is this movie? Because again, I'm 17, I'm like, what is this movie? I'm like, okay, tell me what this movie is, because I'm going to see it, whatever it is. I just need to know what the name of the movie I'm going to see. Tell me, Wanted, I'm seeing that shit. I don't care what I'm saying. And then however much time passed later, I remember seeing the movie with my mom and my brother, And I remember all of us being into it, including my mother. I don't know if anybody was as into it as young Jazz, but I remember like, because my mom ain't no stick in the sand and nothing like that. So I remember she was into it too, like making little comments here and there while we were watching it and whatnot. And then a little side note, like fast forward all these years later, obviously not a how I saw it, but all these years later, I remember having like a movie night with some friends, maybe 2, maybe 3 years ago, back in 2019. And I remember we all get together and we watched some other movie before that. I think that's when we all got together to like hate watch Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
But then we watched Wanted afterwards. And I remember telling my friends, I was like, okay, we're going to watch this movie. And this is just going to be a regular movie to y'all. But I'm about to be 17 again. So, and everybody else is just like kind of half like, and I'm just watching the whole movie just like, oh, this is the part where so-and-so happens. Okay, and this is the part when this happens. So, yeah. This is like, I don't know if you call it a guilty pleasure, because I don't feel guilty, but at the same time, this is like, it's not like my favorite movie, but this is like up there with like, I just love the mindlessness. So yeah.
No, yeah, it is trying to be an action film, and you can't fault any movie that's trying to be an action film. Those aren't going to be Oscar winners, but like it's not like Arnold Schwarzenegger has never made a bad movie in his life. There's several great movies in that pantheon. If you look at them through the lens of The Departed, it's ridiculous, but you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, like you said, like it sets up a small level of realism, but then it also is like, yeah, okay, we're on Earth, but we do crazy shit.
Yeah.
But no, so that is how I saw the movie, where it was like, it's whatever the name of the movie could have been Fish. I was gonna see it when I was 17. It didn't matter. I just needed to know what I was going to see, so I knew what to buy a ticket for.
Oh, that's entirely fair.
But why? I mean, you asked me why haven't y'all seen it? How did that happen?
Well, yeah, I'll go first. So it came out. If it came out 2008,
yeah,
I probably wasn't going to the movies that often at the time. Also, while it did seem silly, it seemed silly, not necessarily good silly when I first saw it. Like, what the hell are you talking about? What is this? There is no spoon shit of believe you can. What if I told you bullets never flew straight? What if I never told you bullets flew straight? You would just do it. And I'm like, what is this Matrix at? What? So I had never gotten around to seeing it, and nobody I knew personally had told me anything about them liking the movie until you told me some time ago that you liked this movie, and I was like, really?
I think it has a cult following.
Yeah, but I hadn't really heard anybody say anything positive about it, so I'm just like, well, no reason to watch it. But you got nothing positive to say, so that's pretty much why I hadn't seen it. Bill?
I mean, very, very similar reasons. This era of my life, the movies I was watching were my already existing VHS and DVD collection, because I did not have cable, and the money I had was not going to renting movies or seeing movies in theaters like this, like 3 or 4 year span here. So that would be why it kind of just never hit my radar. I knew of a couple of things, which might be from the trailers or not. Like, I had an image. I knew Angelina Jolie was in this movie. That's pretty much it, because I had 2 images: her doing like a
right,
a whip gun. I knew that it was curved bullet, and then I knew this was the movie where, like, we have that shot of seeing her full back tattoos.
I didn't know that was from this movie.
From like the internet world or something like that.
I didn't know that there was like
I think those are her tattoos.
Well, I didn't know that there was like pictures floating around just on the internet or whatever that were semi-famous of her back or whatever from the movie.
Well, no, I feel like that was a big deal in the moment.
I did not know that.
Around that time.
I feel like it would be considered a big deal.
I mean, not a big deal, but like, you know.
I know what you're saying. I'm saying, considering who it was and the context.
Yeah, she's a very attractive individual, and like you know,
and this was peak put Angelina in your movies, print money times.
And tattoos have had a weird ebb and flow. I don't think, I mean, right now they're at their strongest moment, I would say, but you know, even just as what seems not that long ago, 2008, I don't know, that feels like not a normal image for a big Hollywood leading female moment.
Maybe not so much like the tattoo, but like for Hollywood, such a big tattoo. Like,
right. Yeah.
Much.
Maybe I'm just bullshitting there.
Or maybe they're just like, hey, look, it's Angelina's back.
Yeah, those are kind of like the two. When you suggested this movie, that's the two images that popped into my head, and that was pretty much it.
I know the curving bullet thing is like, if you haven't seen Wanted and don't know where it came from, everybody knows there's some movie out there where somebody's curving a bullet.
Yeah, I did know that this was based on a comic book.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
It is part of the Mark Millar universe, who does like Kick-Ass and Kingsman and all of that. I wish that it had I wish way back when he created it, he gave it a different title.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wanted feels weird for this. Like it doesn't. Like all of his other things are like, I don't know. Like maybe because he already had the Kingsman, he didn't want to name it
something similar.
The fraternity, or
fraternity wouldn't have been a bad name.
But
something more to imply like
Kingsman,
League of
the
Assassins.
Fraternity. There's something, because Wanted is just like, what? I thought you think cowboys.
Yeah. Well, we get that shot of James McAvoy walking out and looking at the newspapers for sale. And Angelina Jolie and Wanted on the top of it.
Yeah.
And my wife turns to me and goes, "Oh, so I guess that's why the movie's called Wanted."
It's like,
and that would have been the only moment of reference.
Pretty much.
Instead of audibly saying it, but you read it, you're like, he said the thing.
Yeah.
The thing.
The title of the movie.
Right.
Or from the what is it? Pitch meeting. There's a thing on YouTube where the guy does like fake pitch meetings for things, and then when he gets to that thing, he's like, "That's the name of the movie." Whatever.
Yeah. Omari, what were you expecting when you sat down to
I want to hear
watch
what
this?
y'all were expecting.
All right.
I want to hear this.
How did you watch? I believe you just watched this mere moments ago. Is this the freshest?
I did. I watched it mere
of any of our episodes.
I believe so. So, what I went into it expecting, I expected the bullet curving, much like you said, because that's all I had really ever heard about the movie. And because I was trying to keep a clear mind going into this, I was like, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm expecting a bad movie.
Oh, no.
You know, I'm like, no, I'm going to go in here completely fresh and expect, I don't know, whatever BS comes with bullet curving. Someone had told me yesterday that they thought it was one of those use 100% of your brain movies. It's not. It's something. It's something equally stupid. But in this movie's not supposed to make sense kind of way. Calm down. I'm just saying. But yeah, I was like, let's see what this is. Jazz likes this movie. I'm gonna give it a shot. You, Bill?
I was. I guess I was anticipating exactly what I got. An action movie of that era.
That's a good way to put it.
It was my I don't know. I wasn't expecting much out of it. There wasn't like we set this BTS, the scheduling of this kind of came through pretty quickly, and so there wasn't really like, normally there's like the week of resonating with like, all right, when am I gonna watch it? How's this gonna happen? All right, and thinking about it. And then usually I try and watch it about a day or so before we record. So I have like 6 days of anticipation. This all kind of turned around what felt pretty fast. So there wasn't much to expect. Once it started playing, I thought it was going to be trying to be Fight Club kind of tone and visual, like as it like started to sweep into him at his cubicle, and we have the narration
what is this Fight Club
going in the background. I was thinking, is this movie going to be trying to be Fight Club? And it in a way it is kind of like if Matrix and Fight Club had a baby and you like didn't raise it properly, like you just like let it fend for itself on the streets.
What the fuck?
I can see
Not
that.
bad. I mean, sometimes adversity creates
It's just
greatness.
Yeah,
you know,
pressure makes diamonds, yo.
Pressure makes diamonds. Exactly. I don't know if pressure makes diamonds, but pressure doesn't make more coal.
I mean, it's better than a normal lump of coal. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
like some good cubic zirconians or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's kind of my initial reaction.
What's so funny is like as I'm watching it back now, you know, much older than fucking 17, and having watched it probably like, you know, fourth time in my life, maybe fifth or whatever. Like I was watching, I was like, this movie has a lot of similarities to Fight Club. I was thinking that as I was watching it this time before we did this review right now, and I was like,
yeah, definitely with that opening.
Yeah. Well, and then you
Every
know,
is the same. She's fat. Everyone goes to their cubicles and just
that's very
like normal. Nothing's good. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, what? This is want to be Fight Club on top of the Bullet Curving? Is he buying Bullet Club?
I mean, you got a dude that wants more out of his life. You got the like cool badass who is living their life the way he wish he did, that shows him how he can get out of his normal cubicle ridden life. You know, like that's very Fight. It was very Fight Clubby.
And Matrix, you literally just described the beginning of the first hour of the Matrix.
Well, and then what's so funny is Bill was saying like he's like a movie of that era, and I'm like, and it isn't the only one, but all movies, action sci-fi in the 2000s, they are just riddled with, this is a 2000s action sci-fi.
They're definitely products of their time.
They've got like that specific saturation.
It's like a green tint. Almost, like a slight green
on like
tint.
Daytime shots.
Yeah.
Instead of going like golden or like reddish orange, it's there's like a greenish blue tint to everything.
And then there's like every scene is punctuated by like some Nickelback Creed sounding rock beneath it or whatever. Yeah.
I love it.
Not just this movie, you should.
I love it when things are that much a product of their time.
This movie,
and then I go back and hear it or see it again, and I'm like, man, this is, like you said, a fucking early 2000s ass movie.
Late 2000s.
Whatever. Early enough.
As I started to get into it, it was, as I've discussed here before, I sometimes mess up my own enjoyment of films, working too hard trying to figure them out and things like that. and a couple of red flags for me right from the beginning was your main villain. Back up. Your main villain in the first 20 minutes, when presented with a moment to shoot our main character directly in the face, a person we learn about an hour later is one of the greatest assassins, if not the greatest assassin ever in the history of ever, runs into the person that he's supposedly trying to kill in the middle of a convenience store, and he goes like this. Like, we only have it's only like 3 frames. It is only like 3 frames before we cut back to Angelina Jolie, who then finds the explosive tank and shoots it. This guy, I immediately clocked, goes like this. And then kind of gives a face. So it's like, all right, that's weird. Why did they? Because that doesn't alert me until the moment the society says that man was just trying to assassinate you, and we just saved your life. It's like, I don't think he was. I think he would have done it. It looked like he could have done it while Angelina Jolie was introducing herself to him.
Yeah. He also could have done it from the other side of the fucking city, because that's apparently how he does things. Yeah. He's just sitting there just like, goodbye, Mr. X. I'm like, if he wanted to kill this dude, he'd just shoot him at school, or not school, but in his cubicle at work from halfway across the fucking city anytime. And then let this guy go to work like normal.
And then the actor that were presented as James McAvoy's father doesn't look like James McAvoy, and the main villain of this movie looks quite a bit like James McAvoy. Yeah, and an older, it could be McAvoy's father. I don't know.
You mean the original dude on the building?
Yeah, Mr. X.
Was more like James McAvoy than Cross did. Oh, okay.
So I was already working. So into Act 1, I was already kind of working that the Academy is not the good guy, and that's going to be the turn of this movie. And then the moment that Lennon bullshit gets revealed to James McAvoy, I was confirmed, and immediately turned to my wife and said, "That ain't his dad. That ain't his dad. Either that's a complete lie, and they just used it to get him into the organization, because in a Jedi Force way, they already knew that he was special, and they just needed to push him into it, or something else, and the villain is his dad. So sometimes I can spot those things that I should let go of and not focus on, and ruin the movie for me, which that didn't do in this. I don't want to spoil it. Did not ruin it. But I was already working with that kind of stacked on me. But I didn't figure out the dad part, but the second that Loom of Fate popped up, I'm like, oh, this is some Minority Report bullshit. Morgan Freeman's the villain. I put that in my notes immediately. I'm like, nope, they're the villains right there. That whole, oh no, it writes it, and I tell you who to kill. It's I was like, no, that's villain shit. That is villain right there.
You're the only one who can read it, and you just give out the orders, kill somebody. Okay, yeah, sure.
That is kind of.
Do you see that skipped thread right there? It's a code.
That is kind of like what Omari said, where he's like, I'm the only one that can read the shit. Are you now?
I tell you who to die. Morgan Freeman had me cracking up with his delivery throughout this movie.
I mean, I believe this is the movie that creates the South Park moments of Morgan Freeman just kind of coming into it. I think it was at least one episode or a couple episode run where Morgan Freeman would just walk into scenes and like give exposition and then walk out of them. Or is it? It's also the video game.
Yeah.
If you played one of the recent video games, I can't remember if it's the superhero one or the Stick of Truth one, but
he just comes in.
Yeah. I believe that's now I've seen the inspiration to that moment, because there literally is multiple scenes where like in the training montages for James McAvoy, and all of a sudden just like a curtain will move and he's like, well, you see here, just joins in, gives a bunch of exposition about the academy or why they're doing this shit to him.
When they started speaking of the training montage, they started introducing the people like the repairman. Who are you? I'm the repairman. I fixed bad habits. I'm like, hopefully this guy
Blythe
ends
from
up
Band of
being
Brothers.
cool. Yeah, I'm hoping this guy ends up being cool with an introduction like, I'm the repairman. And it's like, what do you do? Break shit. Okay, of course you do. You just break people's faces.
Right.
He's also the lead in what most people vote as the worst Doctor Who episode of all time.
Two things I have not ever seen that he's in.
It's the same, but I take your word for it. I can see it. They did him dirty, by the way.
Nah,
he did just right. He was done just right.
That shit, though, it's like, why are you here? They just whooped his ass.
Why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you here? Oh God, stop! I want to go home.
And then the thing that always kind of gets me, and I kind of even remember seeing it in theaters all them years ago, and every time then, is the first time where he's in the chair, he's like, McAvoy, Wesley is actually compliant. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna at least see what the fuck this is. So he's sitting in the chair, I'm the repairman, all this shit. The thing that always kind of gets me is the first time he's in the chair and they whoop his ass, right? They said, why are you here to be there? Angelina Jolie is just kind of watching while eating a fucking sandwich all calm.
Yeah.
As this dude is getting his fucking face broken in. That shit always kind of was like...
And tying his hands to the chair. Tying his hands to the chair. Who are you? I'm the repairman. I'm like, oh, you dumbass. Letting this dude tie your hands to the chair. But I want to say... something...
She's kind of got a Brad Pitt role in this film where there's a lot of different scenes where she's just kind of casually snacking. I don't know if that was an acting choice by her of just like, I want something to do with my hands and my mouth,
or she just, maybe that was around the time where they had started like being together and stuff. So hey, shout out to Brad.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Maybe she was testing it. She was like, yeah, my new boyfriend is.
But I was just like, I was just like the thought of, obviously this shit would never happen, but just the thought of like getting your face broken in this whole thing where you're like, I'm gonna see what this is, I guess. Okay, get your face broken, you just getting your ass whooped, and somebody just to the side like, it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
just like every time I see that scene is just like, what the fuck is this? But I love it. But what?
But McAvoy's character, like early on especially, I'm like, I don't think I like this dude. And then when Angelina has him in the car, which I will admit, the little spin move she does to make him sit in the car, I did think that was cool. That particular move, but when they're doing the shit,
likely shatters his spine, but
it
was cool.
It still looked cool. Oh no, the first scene with Mr. X running out the building, I said logic goes out the window with this movie. You just told me that right there.
Yeah. That's like a brilliant like Fast and the Furious 9 move that they're doing in 2008.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but the whole is like logic went out the window, and his
this
dad
is a comic book movie.
Yeah, logic went out the window when his dad did, and so I was like, all right, that I know what we were in for in that regard. Logic need not apply.
Yeah,
got it. All right, but when they flipped over the police car, he's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't think I like this guy. I don't know. And then later, when he does the flip over the guy to kill him, and he does the smug ass look at the camera, I'm sorry. I'm like, okay, I definitely don't like this guy.
Oh,
you knew
shit,
exactly
you
what
didn't
you
like-
were doing. You fucking asshole. Also, he did a 180 from normal to thing real quick. All he had to see was a room and be like, all right, I'm gonna go to my office. I'm gonna cuss out my boss. Yeah, fuck this. That's all it took. You're like, I'm the hardcore assassin. I went from being as whiny as they. I'm like, all right, you accepted that real quick.
Two scenes of him that I don't know if I like the character in these scenes, but I love the scenes and the setup and all of that. The first one is his quitting scene. I think everyone has a fantasy quitting scene.
That was a good one.
And that's a pretty damn good one.
Yeah,
it was very.
I will give you that.
It was very Fight Club.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but it's still
it's a great scene.
Yeah, he still does it well, and the image and attitude of the manager character is perfect. If you've ever worked in like one of those kind of cubicle settings, and so that's a very perfect scene. And then when you smack the best friend in the face with the keyboard just to cap it off, and like that slow-mo, that was
and it reads out "fuck you" with the
right, and then it reads out "fuck you," which I would probably put money on that's ripped right out of a comic panel. That just kind of feels,
it probably is.
Feels so. And then the second scene, kind of similar in tone. I feel like they nailed both of these. Is when he has to return to his apartment for his dad's gun, and his ex and the best friend are yelling at him and shitting on him, and then Angelina comes in and like kind of present, it's like a dominance
marking her territory,
thing, and just like helping her new dude out by like being like, man, fuck these assholes, you're so much better than them now. And
well, the thing is, Chris Pratt
I loved that scene.
I did too. Chris Pratt's an asshole, obviously. He's sleeping with his best friend's girl and stuff like that, but it was the fact that it's like he genuinely, because earlier he's like, he's the man. He's the man. I feel like he legit thinks, especially when he walked out with Angelina, he's like, he is the man. He's an asshole.
Well, that's because Chris Pratt is an asshole. So what he idolizes is alpha assholes. And right now, James McAvoy is being alpha asshole to him.
He just cracked me. He's like, he's the man.
Because I mean, no matter how much he idolizes him, he's still fucking his woman.
I said he's an asshole. I said that. I'm saying you shouldn't do that.
But yeah, those are kind of my two standout moments, I guess, in a non-action scene setting. Obviously, there's a ton of amazing action set pieces in this movie, but those are two of the more just kind of grounded in a room doing acting moments that I really enjoyed.
I will say his performance overall perfectly fine.
When he first started talking, I felt like it was weird. I felt like it's not a James McAvoy that I've ever heard before. I feel like I've heard him do an American accent and it didn't sound like this. It was at first I was like, wow, this doesn't like I guess it was like the first time we hear him would be his narration behind him as he's working, and it's like, is this actually James McAvoy doing the narration? What's going on?
I didn't know it was James McAvoy until we started, or until we were about to start this. I was like,
and then Omari goes, it's Professor
X.
X-Men.
Well, but
he'll find a relation to X-Men. He'll do it. Don't tempt him.
That's funny.
Try me. Oh, 400 beats a minute. To go with my earlier comment about the brain thing, when I was like, "Oh no, it's not a use 100% of your brain thing. It's a beat your heart 400 times. Yeah, beat your heart at 400 times a second. Okay, like that was where I was like. That's why I'm like, okay, that's something equally stupid in the sense of only in comics, only in fiction, only in movies and stuff, but unrealistic. I should have said unrealistic instead of stupid when I was saying that. But I'm like, 400 beats a second. All right. Now, to be fair, and to go with me linking it with other stuff that I know to go off of the build thing, I technically seen something similar, only like said person's body was made for that kind of deal and could survive it. But I have seen something similar with pumping your blood really fucking fast, and that makes you like faster and better than everybody. So, fair enough. Movie.
Which is
Jazz. Yes. What are a couple of moments that you think of when you think of this movie?
Moments when I think of this movie. So when I watched it back, one like, it's not even like so much a moment, but just one thing that always, when I watch this movie back, that always kind of was like, oh yeah, I forgot how. Every time I see this movie, I'm like, I forget how much I love this one little shot. Really, is when the dad jumps through the window, rooftop or whatever, and just the image of all that glass perfectly
breaking around him in the shape of him. Yeah.
I just always thought that was like a cool ass shot. Just something about like the outline of a dude.
I wonder if it was super expensive, because they did it again. They called back to it for James McAvoy later, where he does the exact same thing. But they don't give us that close-up moment of it, like shattering around his face, but it's a much wider shot. But you can see that he didn't do this. He jumped through that glass like
this. Thank you, baby. I mean, it's CGI. CGI is expensive as fuck. And then,
but it's
also,
I'm saying like, well done.
Yeah,
it's very well done.
I haven't seen it. I don't recall seeing it on like a VFX artist react kind of thing that I follow a lot, where somebody more that minded will point out flaws or whatever. But for 2008, I feel like
I agree.
I feel like it's well done.
I agree. I think a lot of the CGI was well done. Just like the whole like heart start beating fast, so the waves go over of like slowing down.
They really love their slow-mo heartbeat effect.
This is true.
Particularly the sound. The sound was
womp, 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 womp. But I think that was nice. Like it just kind of throws you in, and you can like at least believe within the non-believable of it. But no, stuff like that in movies always kind of stands out to me, like just like a clip of like a cinematography choice, like when the Joker's hanging upside down in Dark Knight, but he's hanging upside down, but he's right side up. I thought that was cool when I was little. And like, there's a shot at the end of the Visit when they like bust out of the or they get out of the police car, and like the up angle of the foul footage. Stuff just sticks in my brain. Anyway, what else? Oh, I also like that this movie, as much as it's like over the top of shit, there were a lot of callbacks to things that they tell you early, but then they bring them back. Like, I forget the name of the knife dude, but I even thought this when I was younger. He says, the thing about knives is they never run out of bullets. But then when he's shooting up the place and he sticks it in the gun and pulls it out, it's like, oh shit, I guess I ran out of bullets. Like I always thought that was like a callback. It could be bullshit. It could be real with the fate thing and like whose name came up. But Angelina Jolie tells the story of was it the Max Petridge dude or whatever? Like, and how he the fraternity member failed to pull the trigger. So some other innocent people died, but then if she was supposed to kill Wesley, but then she didn't, so now he killed everybody else.
Yeah.
And so it's just like
Shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking moment when Angelina kills herself. Shocking moment. And
I
that
like
means
that.
that she
I did like
believes
that moment.
deeply in the lore of this shit. Because
She's
Morgan
like, all our
Freeman
names
literally
came up?
presented them an option of like, all of our names came up. So either all of you have to die or that motherfucker has to.
I love his
all of his
defense. I love his defense, like, because when he got that, like, he knew exactly what he was gonna say. It's like, hey, the name. Oh yeah,
I got this. I've been carrying around this file for 5 years.
Well, guess what?
Wait,
your name came up. Your name, and they let him just walk around the room. Your name. Your name.
But we also don't even know if that's real because
That's
we
what
know
I'm
he's
saying.
been forging.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, it's
But
obviously
Angelina
could be
immediately
fake.
just kills them all, including herself. That was pretty surprising. I didn't think she was going to stand back up and be in the way of that bullet. I thought the ending was going to be her and James McAvoy going off into the sunset kind of ending.
No, and I like the movie did a lot of like winking at the camera, like when she does that and the bullet turns to the camera
and says goodbye.
Yeah, it's just like now that compared to fuck you, the goodbye on the bullet was kind of corny, but I still like it. Still, like when he's looking at the
little corny.
He's looking at the ATM. And it's like, you know, your best friend's fucking your girl and you're too much of a pussy to do anything about it. Correct, incorrect. Like, I just like mindless fun. What was something else that stood out? I had it in my head and
the train fight scene with the equally curving the bullets to match and each other in midair.
Oh, that's what
I was just like, train fight, lol. But yeah,
that I thought the first time that the bullets hit, it's like, oh. Second time, after a while, they got a little redundant when they kept doing it.
Exactly.
It was like, okay.
I'm like, all right, we get.
How many times we gonna do this? Like, so, but I like the last, still to this day, the last shootout when he realizes that y'all fucked me around, so fuck everybody. And then the explosions go off, and then he's just running through the factory and shooting, grab this gun, reload, shoot, take that gun, shoot. And I love when he shoots through the repairman's face and then it's still holding his body and shooting through it. Oh my God. It's just,
that entire sprint into the linen factory in the climax is insane. It's ridiculous.
It's the fucking squeak right before the mouse explodes.
They've taken everything they've done up until then to open up the this is a fantasy world and just and dialed it up each individual thing that they've worked on in that movie.
Exactly. It's like, don't complain now. You knew what you were getting.
Yeah.
The one gun he catches upside down and then still shoots with the shit. This is like, and then like I said, he shoots through the dude's eye, through his face, and then for a minute holds his fucking body while shooting through this man's face. That shit. And I mean, the callback of the he was like, what if you had 1,000 rats? It's like, okay.
Yeah.
That was almost an obvious plot device, but it makes you think too, like, was the Russian dude, did he know it was bullshit the whole time, which is why he tried to be like, do something
he clearly knew something was up, but he was like, I can't say anything to you. But he probably knew that he was Cross's kid, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna tell you because shit's about to be fucked up. Because clearly he found those notes about the rats that reminded him of it in Cross's belongings. Right. So Cross and dude probably planned this to take them down, but then they got his son first, so he's like, well, I'm gonna at least tell the son to try to stay close to him. And then he was real close to him. He's like, damn, you shot me. Well, bullseye, but guess I'm dead.
You would think that McAvoy would have known something was up, but I mean, at the same time, if you got that much bloodlust for somebody you think killed your dad, you don't care. But you would think he would know something was up.
Yeah,
He
if
wanted
the
so
dude-
hard to get vengeance for his dad that he never knew who abandoned him when he was weeks old. Like, that's one of the things I was like, why are you so bent on revenge?
Well, no, I think that is, I think that is a self-convinced prophecy at that point in the movie at the beginning of like the third actish. The beginning, it is he hates his fucking life and now he's a cool guy, and
Right.
Angelina Jolie is depicted in this world and in our own reality as one of the most like
I will say
lustfully beautiful people in the world. So like that is like, getting the cult is honeypotting him and all of that. So it's driven by like a lust towards Angelina Jolie and just like, I hate my fucking life. And then eventually,
gotcha. Okay. Because I was just talking about the first dad, not the real dad. Yeah, when you find out y'all tricked me to shoot my real dad, I understand why he's mad about that. I was talking about like at first he was like,
right. No,
you just said that was more just he just wanted something different in his life, so he claimed he wanted revenge.
The revenge on my father's death is just his narrative he needs to keep him in the club.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the surface driving narrative, but why he's there, that's why the repairman is beating him the fuck up, is because he like he's a medicated ghost in his day-to-day life, and or now he's this.
That's another scene that I like. What I was gonna say was you would think McAvoy would have been like the dude who easily could kill me, just saved me from falling to my death, but he was just like, no, die.
Yeah, that too. Just like
you would think
he's like,
if the dude really wanted you dead, he would not have done everything he could to help you. But no, I was gonna say that's another scene that I like too. That's not. I mean, I guess you could say it's still within the action, but it's not like the crazy, just like nonstop crazy action. But I do really like the scene where it's like the final repairman part, and when Angelina Jolie is like, "You're wasting my time," so she joins in whooping his ass, and they keep saying, "Why are you here? Why are you here?" And then he finally goes, "I don't know who I am," and it's like, "Oh shit," because I feel like every movie, you learn in even like language arts, English, whatever class, that every story, there's themes that we can relate to and shit like that. So I always like that because I feel like everybody to some extent wishes for more, whatever it is in their life, just to some extent. So I feel like everybody could somewhat relate to maybe, I don't know who I am. Now we can begin. So I always kind of like that, like part of just like a, what'd you say? Now the real work starts. And that's just, I always kind of was like, oh shit, And it's the culmination of, he's been whooping your ass. Now we're both kicking your ass. Why are you fucking here? God damn it.
Yeah.
And then he like finally is like, because I don't know. You're right. Like I saw it, I was like,
do you really want to know who you are?
All right, Omari, what role would you play?
Part of me wouldn't mind being the lead guy, even though I don't necessarily like the character at times. But overall, he does cool shit or whatever. Also, the Morgan Freeman role is just the guy that's just, I do this or whatever. Especially with the reveal of the defense of the chick and shit, like, well, technically, your name came up, and your name. So we should all fucking die. How about that? Or shoot this mother. He just slowly walks around the room and they let him. And then he's like, so we either all die or you shoot this motherfucker right here. I just loved that scene. I'm like, I would love to give like that speech.
My mom laughed so hard in the theater when Morgan Freeman goes, "This motherfucker."
I don't hear that
so
from
hard.
Morgan Freeman often. So, even I was like, yes.
No, that's a great line. It is. It is.
So those are the main two that I would like prefer. But any of the little like side character dudes too. The fucking repairman, the butcher, he's a fucking tank,
I think there's a lot of doable parts here. I don't know if there's a most fun one. Maybe I mean, I wouldn't want to try it with an accent, but maybe just the swords guy, the knives guy, and how much he gets to fuck with James McAvoy verbally during their training sessions. Jazz, what you're new to this this side of Omari's channel here. We'll normally ask ourselves if any roles stood out, because we've all, and it still is true, we've all spent some time acting ourselves.
Right.
So anything where you're like, oh man, I would have loved to have delivered that monologue, or
I mean, like I didn't I don't have a disdain for Wesley as much as Omari might.
Not a disdain, but yeah.
But I mean, come on, man. Like, first of all, the lead role in some movies, most movies, the lead role is the most boring because it has to be like, I guess, the most grounded so we can relate to it. I don't think that's the case in this one. This lead, if I had an opportunity, I'd play the lead. Or
James McAvoy's putting in some work.
Yeah.
Like particularly before he becomes cool. When he's being medicated, McAvoy, those panic attack scenes, like he's putting in some work.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
What else? Or if you could do a role, and I don't know if you could or not, but if you could do a role where like maybe you switch the like sexes, and then like I could be like the cool Angelina and then like come in and rescue like one for my life, like, you know, female McAvoy or something. Because I mean, but then, you know, I guess I'd be Tyler Durden. Not to keep comparing it to Fight Club, being silly.
I mean,
but no, McAvoy, or like I said, like the Angelina, because again, I just love the introduction of a character that while McAvoy's doing his thing, and then we cut and she's just there, just staring at him with this little smirk, and then she just goes, "You apologize too much." Anyway, I'm just like, that's like some cool ass shit. So yeah. So McAvoy or Fox, Angelina Jolie's character in this. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so we boiled down to it. Let's run around the table here. Final thoughts. I guess let's start with Jazz.
Okay.
This is a teenage boy Jazz theater film. It was probably a packed theater.
I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
I feel like this movie did pretty well, but maybe not.
Did. The box office, I looked it up on Wikipedia. The box office did very well.
It's number 6 on Netflix.
So watching it again, and what are your thoughts on the film?
It's so funny. I was thinking this right now because, you know, I'm in my 30s now, and like, obviously I saw this, you know, when I was 17, and this was before a lot of people did like their career defining role. Well, not a lot of people, but some people did their, namely McAvoy and Pratt. Cause like, I looked it up. I'm like, this is a few years before Professor X. This is like, I think a year before Parks and Rec for Chris Pratt. And I'm just like, so somebody would have told you that Maleficent one of the top 10 in a lot of people's top 10 best rapper alive. Fucking Professor X, what is it? Star-Lord and God are in a mindless action movie in the 2000s. You'd be like, what? So yeah. Nah, man. This is one of those movies where anytime you see any movie a whole lot of times, it takes something to steam out because you've seen it a lot. But at the same time, there are those movies where you have to shut your brain off and just, you get lost in the world enough to know what's happening, but shut your brain off with it. And this is I think the epitome of shut your brain off, have fun. And anytime I watch this movie, if not for the whole thing, basically the whole thing, get transported back to being 17. I love movies where, whether a lot or a little, they can transport you into their world and they give you the rules of their world. And as long as it's not like they don't stick to those rules, you can pretty much follow. In our world, we have wax that rapidly promotes white blood cell growth. Oh, okay. That makes sense. That won't happen in real life, but okay. Like in our world, you can blow up rats on a timed explosion.
Just give them some peanut butter.
Right. I'll allow it. Like in our world, you can shoot the wings off a fucking fly. Okay. Like what the fuck?
And Morgan Freeman can collect those wings very, very quickly in order to drop them into McAvoy's. Like, those things fell in that trash can. They are gone.
They just easily replaced them.
He just bent down and he just scooped them all up perfectly.
Or he ripped some wings off the flies earlier and took them out of his fucking pocket. Like, look what you did.
So I would say this movie, for me, I enjoyed watching it. I would say this movie is okay. I would say if you have the time on your hands and you have already watched The Matrix and Fight Club, and I would even say another Mark Millar product that is this same story but better, The Kingsman, the original Kingsman movie. If you've seen those first, check this movie out if you're looking for action. But it is, for me, just okay. That's okay.
Right. No, and that is okay. That is perfectly okay. When I suggested this movie, I suggested it, like I said, because for me, it's like just one of those movies that kind of makes me just be like, I'm gonna turn my brain off, I'm gonna have a whole lot of fun. Is it my favorite movie? No.
That's half of this this series is 12-year-old boy nostalgia or 17-year-old boy nostalgia.
I mean, you'd probably be surprised what my favorite movie is. A lot of people are. But no, man, this movie just, is it my favorite movie of all time? No. Is it in my top 10 or even top 20? No. But I'm not going to compare this movie to, like a Stand By Me or, a Do the Right Thing or something.
Right.
Like that.
And no one would ask you to defend it.
Right.
If you did,
I'm not talking about your opinion or nothing like that. I'm just talking about in general.
Right.
But I'm just saying, but no, I think that, if you grade this movie within the realm of itself, I would give it a little bit more than okay. But, a lot of times we look at shit with nostalgia blinders, but at the same time, I'd only give it a little bit more than okay. It is very much a watch when you have time, but you don't need to hurry up and make time. I get it.
IMDb currently has it at a 6.7 out of 10, and I would say that's pretty close. That's pretty close. I would maybe drop it down a little bit, maybe a 6.3, 6.2. Maybe a hard 6.
I'm not gonna deal with decimals. I'm just gonna say 6, anywhere in there, whatever. I'll give it
Yeah.
a 6, maybe 6.5, but if I'm not dealing with decimals, a 6. I can't give it a 7. How about that? I give it a little more than a 6, not quite a 7, so it's somewhere in the 6 range. I
All right.
agree. It is an okay movie. I didn't hate this like I had heard that I would. I don't think it was that because of that first scene and because of the guy jumping out of the fucking window, doing some Superman run shit through the halls. I'm like, so this is just everything to the movie. It's not even just the bullet curving thing. It's just logic need not apply at
The
all.
movie itself is off its fucking.
Because at first I thought they had applied logic to the bullet thing, if you whip your arm at a certain angle, so you would shoot. I thought they were going to try to apply logic to it, but nah, he came out there with the fucking there is no spoon shit. What have I told you? Bullets don't fly straight. Would you think they would? Yes, because I can pull the trigger and watch it happen. But no, the movie was okay. I don't regret seeing it at all. I agree. My assessment matches you guys' give it a shot if you haven't seen it. It's worth at least one look. It's not really so bad it's good or so cheesy I'm gonna watch it all the time. I don't know when I'll ever watch it again, but I don't regret having watched it at all.
I'll put it like this: if the three of us were in a room together and we were like, "Hey, let's watch something," and I was like, "Hey, let's watch Wanted," the movie experience of us three watching that would probably be y'all kind of do. I would be like this. It just takes me there, man.
For me, if I was in a larger group setting than just me and my wife, just kind of sitting there digging the movie and chatting every once in a while, if it was a multiple people setting, it would be a shit talker for me. We would be sitting there being like,
Yeah. Look at this
motherfucker can jump.
Yeah. I probably the same.
Yeah.
It has
so,
that 2000s. I was just saying.
Oh, no.
It just has that 2000.
And that's perfectly fine.
That 2000 stain is just on this movie too. So it's just
and that's perfectly fine.
Oh man.
Sometimes, hey, 2000 was 20 years ago. So that's
22.
nostalgia gonna hit it. Well, yeah. You get my point. But we're in the 2020s. So that can be nostalgia now.
That's crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, so I believe we got the final thoughts and everything.
Generally, let's take us home.
Positive.
Omari, you want to know what you got to watch for next week?
Oh, that's a good point. What do I have to watch for next week?
So next week we're going to be working on The Grand Budapest Hotel. Omari has never seen any Wes Anderson films, so that should be an interesting ride. That's a very specific stylistic auteur of a filmmaker. So join us next week for The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Grand Budapest Hotel.
I won't be around for that one, but I'm going to watch it on my own because that's something I've been meaning to fucking watch. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
All right, take us home, Omari.
All right, so first off, Jazz, anywhere people can find you, shout outs and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, word. Okay, yeah. So if you want to find me, then you can go ahead and on my socials, I am a rapper and MC, if you will. So anywhere that you stream your music, you can go ahead and look me up under the name Super Jazz, which would be spelled SUPERJAZ. You can go ahead. I released my debut solo album last October. So My Secret Identity. You might have to put in Super Jazz, My Secret Identity. I'm not so famous yet. Also, if you want to find your boy on Twitter, you can look me up under the name Super Jazz 2. So that would be Super Jazz number 2. And you can find me on Instagram under the handle Forever Super Jazz, the word forever spelled correctly. And of course, as we said, me and Omari have another channel, the Whatever We Want podcast that we drop every Wednesday, 10 Central, 11 Eastern. And on the same channel, we have another podcast where we talk about wrestling the first Sunday of every month, First Sunday Wrestling.
Yeah, that's right. And that's right. And as you know, you can find me here on this channel, as he just said, elsewhere with the Whatever We Want podcast. You can also find me on Twitter and Twitch at Giotavi. That is Giotavi. Come on in, stop on by.
Oh, bye.
How about you, Bill? Anything you got to say to the people?
No.
All right. So that'll be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Adios.
Thanks for having me, yo.